Hello there, and welcome to another story time. You are listening to For Such a Time, a modern Nigerian retelling of Esther and Mordecai, written and narrated by Tijiri Agaba. In the heart of Lagos stood a glass building that touched the sky. It belonged to Aurelius Group, powerful, influential, untouchable. From oil contracts to infrastructure deals, Aurelius shaped conversations across the country. Decisions made in its boardroom affected thousands of families, and inside that building sat Sarah Okonkwo. Not at the head of the table, not even near it. She sat by the door with a laptop, a planner, and a quiet presence that no one noticed. She was the personal assistant to the CEO. She booked the meetings, sent the reminders, took the minutes, opened the doors, and listened. Boardrooms are interesting places. The loudest voice often wins. The boldest man often leads. And the quiet ones, they are assumed to be small. Sarah had learned early not to interrupt, not to insert her opinion, not to overstep. After all, she was just the PA. One Tuesday morning, the atmosphere shifted. Mr. Balogun, Executive Director of Operations, stood tall at the front of the boardroom. Impeccable suit, measured voice, confident smile. He presented what he called strategic restructuring for long-term sustainability. The slides were polished. His language was smooth. But the numbers beneath the presentation told a harder truth. Mass layoffs. Hundreds at first, then thousands. Junior staff, regional workers, contract employees, families who depended on Aurelius. Mr. Balogun called it efficiency. Sarah, seated by the door, saw something different. Because Sarah did more than type. She read reports before attaching them. She reviewed projections before forwarding them. She noticed small discrepancies. And in the footnotes of these projections, she saw something troubling. A private acquisition deal, a quiet partnership, a restructuring plan that would benefit one executive more than the company. Mr. Balogun. The CEO trusted him. The board respected him. And no one questioned him. The layoffs were scheduled for announcement in 2 weeks. That evening, as staff whispered anxiously in the lobby, Sarah walked towards the exit. Uncle Bayo was at his post as usual. Older now, grey at the temples, steady eyes. He had watched Sarah grow from a young intern into the CEO's PA. He noticed her silence. "My daughter," he said, "why is your heart heavy?" Sarah hesitated, then told him about the mass layoffs, about the numbers, about what didn't feel right. Uncle Bayo listened quietly. Then he said something she would never forget. "Do not think you are small because you sit by the door." She looked at him. He continued, "Sometimes the one who opens the door is the one God uses." Silence. "Maybe you're here," he added softly, for a time like this. That night, Sarah could not sleep. If she spoke, she could lose her job, be blacklisted, accused of misconduct. If she stayed silent, thousands would suffer. She was not an executive or a director, not even a manager. She was just a PA. Who would listen to her? The following morning, Sarah did something dangerous. She accessed the executive calendar. She scheduled an urgent strategic review meeting. Mandatory attendance, CEO and full board. She attached financial summaries, data reports, comparative projections. She sent the invites. Her hands trembled slightly as she pressed send. There was no turning back now. The board assembled. Confused murmurs filled the room. The CEO looked at the agenda, then at Sarah. "Sarah," he said slowly, "what is this?" The room was silent. She stood. For the first time, not to take minutes, but to speak. Her voice was calm, not loud, not emotional, measured. "Sir," she began, "before the restructuring is approved, there are figures the board needs to review." Mr. Balogun shifted in his chair. She projected the data, clear, precise, and undeniable. She showed the projected community impact, the inconsistencies in cost analysis, the private acquisition linked to Mr. Balogun's restructuring proposal. She did not accuse, she presented, slide after slide, truth after truth. And when she finished, she said quietly, "I may only be responsible for scheduling meetings, but I could not schedule silence." The room was still. The CEO looked at the screen, then at Mr. Balogun, then at Sarah. "This meeting," he said finally, "is adjourned." An internal audit was ordered immediately. Layoffs paused. Within days, Mr. Balogun was placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Sarah returned to her desk the next morning. She half expected her access card not to work, but it did. Weeks later, an internal memo circulated through Aureli's group. Subject line, executive appointment. Sarah Okonkwo is hereby appointed Special Project Coordinator with direct reporting access to the Executive Officer, overseeing ethical reviews and strategic implementation. Staff whispered. Board members nodded. And in the lobby, Uncle Bayo smiled. As she walked past him that morning, he said softly, "I told you, sometimes the one who opens the door is the one God uses." Sarah smiled back, not proud, not loud, just steady. She was never the loudest voice in the room, never the most powerful, never the most visible. But when the moment came, she stood. And because she stood, others were protected. Because she spoke, thousands remained employed. She did not just stop a crisis. She was positioned to guard against the next one. And perhaps she had always been there for such a time. Thank you so much for listening to this story. If you have enjoyed this audio, Please subscribe to my channel, like, share, and drop a comment. Thank you. See you again in our next story. Until then, stay blessed and goodbye.